Okay, so welcome to the next PDS paldastetris stream over here on paldastetris. As always, we are here on paldastetris. And as you can see here in the intro, today we have two matches coming up. The first one being Yelena versus SHUICHI, which is happening at 17 UTC, so in just a few minutes. I can also already see SHUICHI warming up. So hopefully we can start that match soon. But before we take any look at that, we of course should take a look at all of the other stuff that is, let's say, coming first. And of course, first we do have our basic rule set over here. As you can see, it's the standard rules that, I mean, honestly, I feel like at this point we have seen a total of 100 times. Probably not correct, but that's at least what it feels like. And yeah, so as always, it is 18 only. Well, 18 starts only. You can of course play level 19 without any line cap, as well as SPS, control and handcam being mandatory, and in total playing a best of 9, meaning that someone of the players playing needs to win 5 games to win the match. And as for scoring and rankings, if you get 3 points outside of the decider, you get 3 points for a win outside of a decider, you get 2 points for win in the decider, 1 point for loss in the decider, and 0 points if you lose outside of a decider. And yeah, the top players do advance to the top 16 of our PAL-DES Cup. And for that we have, of course, this amazing slide to explain how it works. And yes, you can see we have 3 major events, being PAL-DES Swiss, which lasts until the end of April. Then in July and August we will have PAL-DES Classic, as well as in October to November PAL-DES League. And yeah, the top win players there do advance to the PAL-DES Cup 2026 edition, as well as the top players in the PDM standings and in the new PAL-DES ELO. Important part being here that if you place in one of these events, so for example if you win PAL-DES Swiss, you can't qualify for different, or like you can't play in a different major events. So let's say that Mercos wins PDS, he can't play in PDC or PDL. And yeah, you can only get one of these spots, meaning if you get in by winning PDS, then you can no longer get in by playing in PDM or the ELO, but you can still participate in PDM. And talking about PDM, of course, the next edition of PDM is coming up in May, so if you want to join PDM May 2025, then feel free to join the Discord server. You can follow it at me typing properly and then doing !! Discord here in the chat. You can join it, the correct version and correct playstyle. Yeah, let's take a quick look at our current bracket over here. The standings, as you can see, Mercos is in place number 1, together with Tui kinda, having lost 2 games less. And then AV Geek, who also won all 3 matches so far, and Sam got a draw, exactly, and so on and so forth. And importantly, we can see Yelena and SHUICHI 11 and 12. Yeah, you can also take a quick look at the current ELO, and there we can see that SHUICHI is placing much higher than Yelena, being at 6 compared to Yelena at 17. So yeah, that's the introduction to the players. Well, kinda. We of course also have Yelena being the main organizer of Iberia Regional, as well as the Miss Drops Spain, and placing in the top 16 of CTW CDAS, I believe 2024, as well as SHUICHI, who got, who is the pace person, got the CTGC 2024 runner-up as well as 4th place at CTEC 2024. And so far, Yelena has won against Marz and Ken, then lost against Togi, and Shuichi won against Firedogs and me, but lost against a Vigig. So let's see how these two will perform against each other. And talking about the players, we unfortunately have a timer going. Yelena was already pinged in the announcement, so let's do start. And yeah, so sadly, already a timer here in the beginning for Yelena to show up, and let's also ping Yelena on Discord, of course. Here. Okay, Yelena told us that she is 2 minutes late. Okay, that's totally fine. Then I'm gonna stop the timer. Well, stop the timer as in remove the timer 2 minutes late. So yeah, 2 3 past should be here in just a few seconds. In the meantime, we can see Shuichi warm up on casual level 19. And as Gunther's saying, stop the count! Exactly, sometimes you just need to stop the count. On this case, the count down. Because here Yelena told us she would be here at a few minutes late. Well, 2, that's a few minutes. So we should be able to start the match until 5 past. We are just seeing Shuichi play casual level 19 here. Is always nice to see. And yeah, of course, also if you enjoy Pal Des and want to support the players, then we do have a match arena. As you can see, it's currently at $160. Of course, thanks to PIW for providing $100. Thanks to me for providing $50. And also thanks to Zohasada for providing $10 so far. Going to also saying it's technically 29 speed. Yes, it is. In PAL, it does not get faster after level 19, meaning that level 19 is level 29 speed and level 39 speed and level 255 speed as well. But we can also see Shuichi just play pretty high here on PAL Des 19, which if you have proper desk control is possible. I don't really understand how it's possible myself because I'm a bad player. But yeah, if you have proper desk control, then you can play like endlessly high. Okay, and let's see if Yelena is maybe already here and it's just refreshing on my side. Okay, that does not seem to be the case. And Shuichi apparently did train more, but he trained more university. But yeah, sometimes you just have different stuff to do than playing Tetris, like in Shuichi's case, university. In other people's cases, it also can be work, for example. But Shuichi, and I'm through with it for now, meaning that Shuichi will be able to focus on Tetris once again, and well, this time. And Yelena is also here, so welcome Yelena, nice to see you. Yeah. I also expect to see both of these players again at CTWC Des this year, which of course will happen from the 17th to 19th of July. Correct playstyle, but incorrect version. And talking about the incorrect something, let's incorrect playstyle our seed. And the first seed is gonna be OD06 8C. And yeah, as always, I expect players to warm up before the match, so if you need 1 game, then that's fine. If you want like 5 games, then please do that in advance. But it looks like the players are just ready here. And here we can also see CTWC Des 2022, CTWC Des 2023. So only the CTWC Des 2024 edition is missing in the Tetris gyms. As well as soon also the CTWC Des 2025 edition, because, you know, we have CTWC Des happen yearly starting in 2022. we can see the good luck have funs in chat and also the ready here on Shuichi side, which means we are just waiting a bit here on Yelena to get ready. And James, also known as JDH, is also in the chat, so let's start game number 1 in 3, 2, 1, Tetris. And he has always over here in PAL. Level 18 is not a level where you can be safe. You know, if you play DES on NTSC, then level 18 is pretty much 100% aggression, but here on PAL, due to the slipperiness, 18 can already be dangerous, as we can see here on Yelena's side. Being kinda high, had to burn a few lines, now got a Tetris in, and we can see 30k against 46k, so Shuichi already having a small lead here in the beginning, due to needing to burn fewer lines in comparison to Yelena. Yeah, let's see how that will evolve here now that Yelena is nearly in a standard position again. Now going for the center well, which is just gonna be a few more lines here for Yelena to be properly open again. Or to potentially go for it too high. We'll have to burn. Which means Yelena now having the second Tetris into 65k against 139 here on Shuichi's side. Shuichi was able to get a nice about 70k lead in here against Yelena. So nice opening here for Shuichi. And Yelena now going for the center, well, getting the Tetris and center Tetris to Yelena. Nicely done. Also migrated to the standard well. So Yelena is going for the center well. Shuichi is going for the center-ish burn here. Center was high, so Shuichi needed to burn a few lines. Nearly has the burn finished, as in he is now playing quite high, a bit higher than I would normally like to see. But we also see, of course, that Shuichi is cleaning that up as we are approaching the 50 line mark, or basically are now at the 50 line mark. And as we can see, both players not quite at the pace that you wanna be in, but pretty similar, only Tetris difference. So for Yelena to burn a lot in the beginning, this is now a nice position. Didn't fall behind too much, only bought a Tetris. And also has played a few lines less, so this is, as we can see, 58 lines, 209, 206, actually a small lead here for Yelena. It is neck and neck between our Spanish and German players here. Yeah, next setter is now to Shuichi. It looks like today these players are luckily able to show us what they can achieve here. And just as I said that, of course, Yelena having a bit of DES issues, controller issues. I would actually at this point say it's controller issues. But that has allowed Shuichi to win game number 1. So Shuichi, feel free to top out. You have just won game number 1 here. I'm gonna do the statistics here for Yelena real quick while Shuichi sadly already reset. I was like, well, Shuichi is still playing here. Please try to not reset too quickly because I need to take the statistics. And just resetting the game instead of waiting there for a bit is making it harder. And a bit might mean half a minute or so, not just a few seconds. Oh, Yelena is saying also had visitor issues. That does, of course, impact how well you can play. 303, 632, and 83 lines for Shuichi, as well as the 1-0 for Shuichi here. And yeah, so let's start game number 2 in 3, 2, 1, Tetris. And yeah, Shuichi, it wasn't too bad. Luckily, you stayed on the top out screen for so long that I could take it based on the, what is it called again? Clip? Yeah, clip. So that's good enough, I'd say. Yeah, now we can see Shuichi and Yelena both having a burn, both having 4 Tetrises, so we have 71 against 71. Just 10-point push-down lead here for our German player. And next Tetris to Yelena, next Tetris to Shuichi. So nice, efficient opening here for both of these players, having 116 at 23 lines, only burning a single line here, and now an early shift on Shuichi's side. Potentially not even a burn. No, okay, didn't get the T-tag in. But on Yelena's side, we can see the James drop, which is also gonna force a bit of cleanup here now on her side. While Shuichi is nicely putting his pieces to where they need to be, doing tucks, for example, to get the pieces. Add the board into a nice state, only too high, and Shuichi's able to go for Tetrises here. On Yelena's side, we can see the column 3 Tetris happening now. On Shuichi's side, we can see Shuichi being quite high. Now waiting for the next bar for the next Tetris. OP is not exactly what he wanted, but nice S-piece tuck was able to be achieved here. Into a Tetris on Shuichi's side. Looked a bit dangerous there, but luckily the long bar came in and it was needed. Now Shuichi needs to find a way to burn this down. Long bar does go over to the left. Perfect. Yelena still on the center well here. Shuichi burning down. And we can see Shuichi, yeah, not being able to go play once again. Early shift here on Yelena's side. SZ piece is not the nicest, but is low in this take. Also getting the T-spin here. So yeah, as we are approaching the halfway point, we can see 223 against 226. So it is quite neck and neck here. And Gunther's saying, Shuichi needs to be hospital bill for giving me heart attacks. For the heart attacks he gave me. Fair point, fair point. But, as Gunther's also pointing out, luckily we are not in the United States of America, which means you don't need to go in depth for stuff like that. Yelena also playing a bit high now, taking the burns here though to get, well, the cleanup burns to get lower in the stack, slowly but surely. Shuichi is nearly open on the center well once again, point-wise it is 264 for Yelena against 359 here for Shuichi. Shuichi having played nearly 2 Tetrises more, so if we take that into consideration, it is more like 330 against 360, which means only Tetris and some change lead here to our German player. As we are in the last 30 lines of level 18 now, we also had a small misstep here on Yelena's side, which means this is now looking a bit tough here for Yelena. And Shuichi is quite high, he needs a bar, he does get the bar to the right side, he still wants the next bar, well is open, gets the next bar, and these were 2 important bars. If, well, the first one didn't come, then it would have been a definite top out, I'd say. And the second one also probably needed, at least from a comfort level. Yeah, that was quite dangerously here on Shuichi's side. And next set is to Yelena into 348 against 416 on Shuichi's side. And welcome in the chat, any Shark? I'm gonna call you Annie, I hope that's fine. And yeah, last 10 lines of PAL over here happening. You can see Yelena being quite high, you can see Shuichi being in a dirty situation, so Shuichi is not going to be able to do much on level 19 speed most likely. Shuichi is now transitioned, needs a bar for Cannon 4, does get the bar for Cannon 4, but doesn't get anything over to the right side, which means Shuichi tops out at 430, and Yelena is transitioning also now, would need to get to 430, which is less than Tetris, so it's actually possible here for her to just play this out and survive until the end. It's, you know, only 20k, which is 15 lines or so. This should be doable for Yelena, depending on the pieces that are falling down. And so far it looks pretty acceptable, but the state of the board has been getting worse here now. Oh, nice flat bar burn, but yeah, right side is now in a pretty much inaccessible state. I've also taken a screenshot of both of your boards, which means feel free to top out. I'm now putting down all of the important statistics like the lines played and the points you got, so feel free to start or like prepare for the next seed, not start the next seed. Please only start when I tell you that you can start. As in standard countdown stuff as always. She said feel free to top out, I already did before. Yeah, that's true, that's true. And as Gunther also said, yeah, this was a nice close game. Gunther also saying, yeah, please top out and crash the console. Oh, I would say let's start game number 3 in 3, 2, 1, Tetris. And perfect, I got confirmation from Annie that Annie is working well. I believe I've never actually had her in the chat here. Yeah. So good to know. And Shuichi also saying my desk controller is bad. I wouldn't say it's bad, I just would say that it has seen better days. Yeah, but still in the warm-up you saw that you were capable of playing 19. then I'm sorry that I forgot. It's just that, oh, Shuichi getting high here. Left side needs, for example, a T-piece, bar working. No, this is not nice on Shuichi's side. He's not getting open, and, well, I guess desk control. So, feel free to top out, Yelena. This is a game for you. As Shuichi topped out pretty early here. And Shuichi saying no second was bad. Ah, okay. To me it looked like there were a bit of misdrops happening. But stacking bad, death loss, or like death issues, both can be summarized as skill issues. And apparently I had Annie in the chat before, then I forgot and I apologize for forgetting that. But at least I'm not forgetting to do all of the stats over here. So let's start game number 4 in 3, 2, 1, Tetris. So yeah, Annie, by the way, in case you don't know, over here in paldastetris we note down the lines the players played and the score they got, which is why I'm always taking screenshots after the games and try to find a way to talk for like 2 or 3 minutes while I'm doing the statistics. And thanks for the raid, Adam Irish, of 5 players. I hope you had a lovely stream over there and will now be able to enjoy some nice Simul Tetris Pal des Tetris, or maybe it's just Simul Pal des Tetris, as we have Yelena versus Shuichi here in this best of 9. Shuichi having won the first 2 games, and then Yelena winning game number 3 after a bit of stacking issues on Shuichi's side. And now we are 49k against 115, but Yelena at that point had played like 8 lines less, so if we take that into consideration, it's pretty close between these 2 players. Shuichi just started a bit earlier, which is why he is ahead in the piece sequence. Next Tetris to Yelena, next Tetris to Shuichi. And one more to both of these players here. Small misstep here on Yelena's side of that T-piece, which means there's gonna be a bit of cleanup to do, while Shuichi is clean here and can just go for Tetrises. Now has 1-2, yeah, having a JP's dependency. JP's doesn't fall down for a bit, but now it fell down. And we can see the next bar into Tetris on Shuichi's side, into 2-10 for Shuichi, against 1-32 for Yelena. Yelena 4 lines behind, open once again, so it's like a 1-55 for Yelena against a 2-10 for Shuichi, if, you know, Yelena gets that Tetris in, which is 55k lead, so 2 Tetris and some change base lead currently for Shuichi. Yelena also having closed the doorbell once again is gonna require at least 4 burns here, now up to at least 5 burns. While we have the next Tetris to Shuichi. Yelena open once again, waiting for the next bar for the next Tetris here. Looks like it's taking a bit of time to fall down, but yeah, we saw on Shuichi's side that there weren't any major droughts. You know, major droughts being, to me at least, when the long bar doesn't fall down for 30 plus pieces, which is a point at which survival does oftentimes become quite hard to achieve. And next, Tetris to Yelena, 275 against 354. Yelena once again having played a few lines less than Shuichi has. Shuichi also needed to spend some lines here to get open once again. Next Tetris for Shuichi, into Yelena taking a single here. And we are at about 80 lines, 379 for Shuichi. Yelena's board having some issues, 302 for Yelena here. So pretty much the same lines, now up to a 70k lead here for Shuichi in pace. And also actual score. Pace is the amount of points you would get if you play perfect from now on, which oftentimes makes sense to take into consideration when talking about scores and players being more than just 2 or 3 lines apart. Yeah, if you for example use D06 James, which is a rendering software for NES Tetris, that also shows you the difference in pace. So if you play perfect from now on, yeah, there's many different ways, like projection as well, which is if you play at the same efficiency. Yelena having now a bit of misstepping here, getting the next bar Tetris to Yelena. 408 for Yelena, 543 here for Shuichi. Shuichi is massively ahead, clean, able to go for the next Tetrises, while Yelena having once more overshift of that red S piece, which is now gonna put her pretty much out of the game, as in level 19 will not be playable. T piece also doesn't go over, and as we can see, top out for Yelena at 411. But as always, over here on Pal des Swiss, we encourage the players to play their level 19 as long as they can. So Shuichi, there's no need for you to top out, so feel free to simply continue playing over here. And Yelena also put in the chat that she's having a lot of troubles. I saw that here in the end of quite a lot of misdrops, as in early shifts, overshifts, stuff like that. And we can see Shuichi topping out at 646 and 143 lines. This is quite a good pace here for Shuichi. His comp PB is a bit over 700k, so he's getting quite close to his comp PB here. Only about 60k left to go for that. Wasn't able to achieve that. And Shuichi's saying, why didn't it go over? There's a billion reasons, as you know, so let's start the next game simply. Game number 5 will start in 3, 2, 1, Tetris. Shuichi needs to win the next, like this game and the next game in order to win the match. So 2 games in total for Shuichi left to go. And Yelena needs to win 4 more games in total in order to win the match. Shuichi, of course, wants to win the match at 5, 3 or less scores for Yelena, because then Shuichi gets 3 points for the standings. And that's definitely what he wants in order to have a chance of getting into the top places here at PAL des Swiss 2025 edition. Yeah, if you like seeing PAL des Tetris, then feel free to join our Discord server. The link is in the chat. And if you want to support the players, then we also do have a Matcherino that is also in the chat now. Next Tetris to both of these players here. As you have 94k for Yelena against 136 for Shuichi, which means 40,000 point lead here for Shuichi, having played 4 lines more. So we have about a 1 Tetris lead here for our German player, where Yelena is having a longbow dependency, filling in the longbow dependency, and Tetris to Yelena into 120. And we had about 160 here for Shuichi, so yeah, 40,000 point lead for Shuichi, which is a bit less than a 2 Tetris lead for Shuichi. Shuichi just closed the well, which looks like it's going to be 2 burns. A double end is open once again into Tetris for Shuichi. Yeah, also 1 more Tetris here now to Yelena. Shuichi getting a bit high, also getting the longbow over now. Next Tetris here to Shuichi into 231. Kind of 3 bar dependency for Shuichi that won't be turned into a Tetris due to the right side being a bit inaccessible. And we have the next triple to Shuichi. Okay, could have tried to go open here once again, but instead decides to play 1 high. Yelena having a bar dependency in kind of 3, getting the bar perfect. Next bar into Tetris for Yelena as well. Having 2 J dependencies here. First J dependency is now going to turn into a closed well. Second J dependency got a bar, now into an L dependency, getting the LPs, and T-Tag nicely done here by Yelena. But of course, that forces her to fall a bit behind on points, while Shuichi is able to go for Tetris here. It was quite close, but then Shuichi was able to ramp up the pressure here, as we have 1 more Tetris to Shuichi. You can see Yelena being in the cleanup process, while Shuichi is clean. And we have about an 80k lead here for Shuichi, 260 against 340. Next Tetris to Shuichi, next Tetris to Yelena. Yelena would be 3 lines away of a well transfer, but it is assumed that she's gonna try to play on the center well. And yeah, we can see the center well. Not only a single, taking a single is pretty acceptable. So we can see the well transfer now on Yelena's side, going for the standard right well at 0 height. While Shuichi has been there for a bit, as we are getting closer to the last 40 line here for both of these players. Shuichi is already in the last 40 lines, while Yelena is still 2 lines away. 330 against 410, so about an 80,000 point lead here for our German player on the right side. And Shuichi has a bit of a frozen stream now. It looks like there's buffering. TP's not going to, yeah. And we have a top out for Shuichi at 432 and 94 lines, which means Yelena, we have a chase down. Here goes 432, 432. And if you can get there, then you win game number 5 and would be closer to your goal of winning this match. Can I see on Shuichi's side if the stream is now looking good again? I don't see the buffer icon, so I assume that Shuichi's stream is stable once again. Next, Tetris to Yelena to 430, so Yelena just needs a few thousand points here. The next Tetris does it, and Yelena wins game number 5 here, not trying to go for Compi B. As Compi B is a 603, it was a lot to go, so understandable that she was like, yeah, let's just top out and not try to play forever. And that means we now have a 3-2, and give me, of course, 1 second here for our statistics. And yep, 2-3 is here, so let's start game number 6 in 3, 2, 1, Tetris. Yep, PIW saying 2-2, 3. Sadly not the good old 2-2. But it's 2-2 maybe 2-2. Maybe that works, not fully sure. Maybe you can get the 3-3 here if Yelena is able to win game number 6. Yeah, if you know me, then you know the only thing that I want from a match is having the full match, all in this case 9 games happen, and I generally don't care who wins a match as long as it is as close and amazing / interesting to watch as possible. Yeah, here we can see a bit of a drought action happening. Neither of these players were able to go for a Tetris for quite a bit, but just when I said that, we had the bar for SHUICHI and also the bar for Yelena now into one bar here on SHUICHI's side, so Yelena should also be able to get the next Tetris soon into one more Tetris on SHUICHI's side. So yeah, after the bit droughty opening, we now have a lot of bars over here. As we can see, Yelena wasn't able to use all of them, and we're now at 140 against 184, SHUICHI having played 5 hands more, not only 1 hand difference, and we can see a Tetris lead here to SHUICHI. But as always, we are quite early in this game, and until the end of the game, which is at 1:30 lines or later, hopefully, a lot can change, as we saw, for example, in the last game where SHUICHI topped out quite close to the transition, and Yelena was able to chase it down. Yeah, even on level 19, those things can happen. And SHUICHI once again doing his, I guess you could say, trade-rock move here and getting an early opening in, or like early lead in. And as we can see, it is 244 against 344. So around about a 100,000 point lead here for SHUICHI, which is around a 4 Tetris lead here to SHUICHI. So yeah, amazing first half here for SHUICHI so far. And this is definitely a game that's worth of SHUICHI's playing. I said it now, SHUICHI needs to burn a few lines. This was really close to perfect pace here for SHUICHI. Really only taking a few burns in. He was at a 700k pace here, which is absolutely massive. If you know PAL, then you know that having a 700k pace is pretty much impossible as a DES player. Or as Joseph said, 700k in PAL is much more of an achievement than getting a max out in NTSC. But here we saw SHUICHI already got a 700k in comp before, so let's see if maybe this will be his next time. On the other side, we have 349 here, so 120k behind SHUICHI. As we are in the last 30 to 40 lines of game number 6 and level 18 of it. Next Tetris to SHUICHI at 494 here. Against 396 for Yelena. SHUICHI going for column 3, needs to take a single burn. Next Tetris to SHUICHI. And we now have Yelena going for the right rail, Shuichi still for the center rail. And next Tetris to both of these players. Shuichi now in the center rail once again. Last 10 lines for Shuichi, last 15 lines for Yelena. Shuichi is still getting, like potentially getting 600k. Transition 100k on level 19 is definitely doable here for our German player. Okay, let's see if we can get the final possible Tetris. Optimally would be a triple into a Tetris, of course. Otherwise, Shuichi would be just a bit off the max out here. But the bar does not want to fall down in time, so 479 transition here for Shuichi. Next Tetris for Shuichi, 603 for Shuichi. Yelena's board is falling apart here, but Shuichi, feel free to continue playing level 19 for as long as you want. As, yeah, Danny is saying, yeah, Tetris! And this is what we are here for, just Tetris and nothing else. Well, Tetris as in Tetris the game, not necessarily going for Tetris is on level 19 speeds, but Shuichi isn't able of doing that here anyways due to the top out that he just had, which means that we now have a bit of a weird browser issue once again. I absolutely hate it. So I'm currently using Chromium over here because the way I've set up my main browser, I always delete cookies, and if I have to log in into an account every single time, that's always not the nicest. So yeah, I'm trying to use Chromium here, but it just also doesn't work properly. So yeah, next up is gonna be match point for Shuichi, as we are in game number 7 and 4-2. If Shuichi is able to win this game, then Shuichi has won this match. It looks like Shuichi is saying, sorry, my phone died. Ah, that just happens. Phones dying is something that I would say we're getting quite used to. As we're now ready, let's start game number 7 in 3, 2, 1, Tetris. Yeah, let's see how this game will go. If we will see to level 19 once again. Or maybe this game will end a bit sooner. Over here we can see once again big lead here for Shuichi in the beginning. 96 against 183, so Shuichi nearly 100k ahead at only 34 lines here. Now Shuichi needs to burn a few lines, where Yelena also needs to burn a few lines. Shuichi also getting quite high in this tech, now having Lobang and defense here. Column 8 getting the bar in. So column 8 is no longer an issue here for Shuichi, but yeah, column 8 once again getting the bar over. Next single, nice burn saver Shuichi, showing us amazing survival. But of course staying ahead for quite a long time, so Shuichi doesn't have to hurry up over here at all. He can just play it safely, as he's still like 70k ahead, which is over 3 Tetrises, or about 3 Tetrises. Yeah, Shuichi here just taking the burns slowly and safely, exactly as you should. But now we're stopping that SPs here, bar going over to the right side, perfect. Needs one more LPs for column 4. Does decide to put the LPs to the left, then got a bar. Now a triple, so Shuichi is close to being open once again, just one single away. And we are at 148 against 213. Next Tetris to Shuichi. Shuichi will probably burn a single here, also an early shift of that J piece here. Center well is now happening here on Shuichi's side, waiting for the next bar. And let's see when the next bar will arrive, but instead he's taking some burns now, as we have a bit of a drought situation here for our German player. And Yelena in the meantime having the standard well, just a clean stack. Oh, here just was the bar for Shuichi and the second bar. Small mistake here now after that LPs on Yelena's side as well, which means a bit of burning here in this drought. And we can see the bar just fell down, as we are now at a bit over 80 lines, 206 against 291, which means a bit over an 80 KD tier to our German player. Yelena is now ready for the next Tetris. Shuichi is also setting up and ready for the next Tetris, waiting for the bar into Tetris for Shuichi. And we will soon also see bar into Tetris for Yelena as well. And here we can see bar into Tetris for Yelena. Not quite a back-to-back. Needs to take a few burns instead here. And Shuichi once again being in slight issues here. Still quite a bar ahead. 254, 342. But also having played like 12 lines more, which is 3 Tetrises or 70k. So if we take that into regards, it's actually not that big of a lead here for Shuichi. Shuichi now needs to burn a few lines here to get center ready. Yelena also needs to burn a few lines. We are about 20 lines away from the transition here. Yelena is ready for the Tetris once again. I said, didn't see the single here that she was off, and is also now 30. Does not get the bar over, which means Yelena tops out at 285 in this game. So Shuichi, feel free to play this out. You have been able to win this match against our Spanish player Yelena. Yelena saying, so bad decisions sometimes just happens. There's not much that you can do, sadly. But Shuichi is now on level 19, as we can see. And yeah, let's see how far on 19 Shuichi will be able to play. I doubt he's gonna get the 300k for a new comp PB, but let's see if he is able to achieve that. Would be a massive game, of course. It looks like this is it here for our German player, waiting for the next bar. Bar doesn't fall down, which means Shuichi has topped out here. And we can take a look at our match winner, Shuichi. So yeah, congratulations to Shuichi for winning game number 7 here, and therefore winning the whole match. And we can take a look at our match statistics as well when it loads. Okay, don't know why it took a second to load. So this is the match standings. Of course, also thanks to PIW for reporting the match for the standings. And here we can see average losing score for Yelena was actually quite higher than for Shuichi. Shuichi just had bad games when he lost, so there's that. One bad game especially. Other than that, we can see highest, quite similar, highest score for Shuichi just was really far ahead here of Yelena, which has in total allowed Shuichi to get 700k more in points and therefore win this game. And now let's take a look at our bracket. And here we can see now Shuichi in rank number 4. So if he's able to win the next 2 matches, Shuichi may actually be able to be in the top 3 and have a guaranteed spot in our PAL Des Cup 2026 edition. Yelena in number 7 here. And PIW saying, by the way, I need a few minutes to start a match versus James at the scheduled time, which is, of course, totally working for me. So we will have the second game here in about 15 minutes. So see you then again. So welcome back to paldastetris over here. We just had the first match between Yelena and SHUICHI. So next up is match number 2 between James, also known as JDH, and PIW, also known as Rafal. Danny's saying never left. I will admit that I left to get a bit of water, for example, because always stay hydrated, and with that, let's take my cup of water and drink a bit of water. Actually, we should have a caster cam just for drinking water. Danny's saying I was staring at the screen the whole time. Why do I actually believe that some people do that? Oh yeah, I do that because I know that some people do that. Where was I again? I'm confused. Oh yeah, I was at the introduction. That just confused the heck out of me for some reason, I don't know why. Yeah, okay, so let's take a quick look at the rules once again. As you can see over here, we have a best of 9 in total. And the best of 9 means that one player has to win 5 games in order to win the whole match. Huh? What the heck? I'm doing the introduction, no, the match sheet. And, why the heck is James green when I haven't done anything? Okay, this is confusing. This is so confusing. Bloops, best of 9, SPS, control and mandatory, 18 all the way, 3 points for winning, 2 points for winning a decider, 1 point for losing in a decider, 0 points otherwise. Paldas cycles, so if you do win in one of the major events, being PDS, PDC or PDL, then you have a spot guaranteed in the Paldas Cup 2026 edition. And if you are in the top 3 of the PDM standings or the Paldas Elo, you are also in the 2026 Paldas Cup. And yeah, of course, if you win a major event, then you can't participate in another major event, but you can still participate in the PDM. Also talking about PDM, the next PDM is coming up in May, so if you want to join PDM May, then feel free to join the Discord server and join PDM there. And yeah, now let's take a quick look at the bracket. As you can see over here, we have PIW in number 14, James in number 13, or place rank, however you want to call it, 13. So pretty evenly matched. And if we take a quick look at the player profiles over here as well, actually a bit longer, we can see that James is the most consistent DES player, as well as the strongest DES player of level 2020. Of level. He is so focused on Tetris that years are just levels to you on year 2024. And yeah, strongest, as we can see, he's lifting very hard. We can also see the elo between these two players being pretty close, 1518 and 1508. But PLW has pretty different achievements compared to James, as PLW is the host and organizer of the PAL DES events. At this point, pretty much all PAL DES Tetris events. I'm not, like, I wouldn't know of other PAL DES events. Maybe they exist, but again, I wouldn't know. As well as being in 4th place of the 2023 Polish PAL Championship and 4th place of the 2024 Polish NTSC Championship. And yeah, with that, let's take a look at our PAL DES players. Well, I also am gonna get rid of the chat here. As Danny said, still trying to work out things with my sister Scooty's mom on the CTW DES tournament. I really want to go. I would love to have the whole Scooty family there. Being, of course, Scooty, Danny, Scooty's mom, Scooty's grandpa, and whoever else wants to attend. Cologne has a lot of lovely places, and so, of course, does Europe in general. And yeah, of course, CTWC DES is the NTSC DES event of the year. So, yeah, I hope that we'll be able to see you over there. And Danny also pointing out that CTWC DES is the, well, incorrect version, but the correct playstyle, so it's gonna be amazing. Danny also saying, yeah, Tulsa! And James playing, had to think for a moment where you said that until I remembered what shirt I was wearing. Perfect. And then also saying, I'm trying to talk the grandparents into going, but they are intimidated by long flights. Oh, that's fair, I'd say. But luckily, remember that flying, like airplanes, is much safer than taking a car trip. So logically speaking, you have higher chances of, being in standard traffics than flying. So there's always that. But yeah, no. Never force people to do something that they absolutely don't want to do. Then he also saying, the Scooty family is originally 2 hours north in Kansas. I'm gonna pretend to know where Kansas is. Yo, I know where Kansas is. I'm not that illiterate about the United States. I'm just wondering what you mean by 2 hours north in Kansas. That's a bit confusing. Yeah, Kansas is like in the dead center. Not fully sure where, like, as in dead center, but yeah, I believe it's genuinely dead center. I believe there's like space-wise to left and right the same much up down, so yeah, it's dead center. Oh, so good luck, have fun in PIW. Can you say America we tell distances by driving times, not miles or kilometers? You know, Americans will do anything to not use the metric system. Just use hours instead of kilometers. But yeah, over here, some public media is using football or soccer fields as measurements of how big something is. Okay, the players are ready, so I'm gonna start the game and then I'm gonna talk a bit about that weird stuff. So let's start game number 1 between James and PIW in 3, 2, 1, Tetris. So here we have a show that's called Galileo, and they do, you know, entertainment science. And there, you know, it's like, and this and that is as big as 10 football fields, and you're like, what the heck? I don't even know how big a football field is. Can you just say it in like square kilometers, square miles? Honestly, anything that makes sense and is not a soccer or football field. Like, bruh. I believe at one point they also used like stadium. I'm like, stadiums have different sizes. So a small fun fact about, yeah, not using proper units. Like the United States is using Freedom Eagle units, those at least make some sense compared to using football fields. Like, imagine if I was like, and if I didn't say we have 91,000 points for James against 76,000 points for PIW, which actually is the case, so we have about a 1 Tetris lead here for James, but less than a 1 Tetris lead. But imagine if I instead was like, and we have, I don't know, let's do the driving side, let's say, and we have a 10-second gameplay lead of points in favor of James. You'd be like, what the heck, I have no idea what that is. Danny's saying most people have no idea how big 100 square kilometers, how big 100 square miles, 100 square kilometers is. So using football fields is helpful to getting any size. I'm gonna disagree on that on my personal level, but yes, many people have no idea about sizes, especially once it gets a bit bigger. But then we're like, but you also have no idea about what the size of 15 football fields is like. So at that point, it's like, does it even matter? And he also saying most people, correction, most Americans. No, it's like that over here as well. And it does make a bit of sense because it's harder to know, you know, how big an extract number like a kilometer is. But yeah, we have 215 for James, 219 here for PIW, so PIW was able to close in. And we have 2 good games here so far. Over 200k at 50 lines is pretty much where you want to be in 12. Like 200k at 50 lines is where you want to be to have a decent game. So 220 at 50 lines is having quite the good game here. We can see on PIW side. Current projection is like 600k. Whereas on James side we also are around the 600k projection, depending on how yeah, this will go. It's a bit below PIW here, as we can see. But yeah, both players in quite a nice point position, but PIW in a position where he does have to burn a few lines. Okay, he is now blocking the well, opening it up once again, getting the bar over, and we can see PIW here. James here in quite a lot of trouble actually. 290k for James, but James not being able to get the pieces anywhere. So James tops out here 290k and 68 lines, which means PIW, congratulations, you have won this game. You can safely top out. And let me report this game here for our American player real quick. And PIW is now topping out at 331. So GG's here for PIW to winning, and as PIW also is spawning out, was quite the unlucky situation here for our American player. Whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. And yeah, the seed is in the chat. The seed for game number 2 is gonna be 062374. Let's see how game number 2 will go in 3, 2, 1, Tetris. As I said in the beginning, these players are quite closely matched in terms of their elo. Their performance in the tournament is not quite that evenly matched, as we had PIW only winning against Marz, whereas James was able to win against Duzika. I have no idea about how to pronounce him. I always call him Duzik, something like that. Actually, sure how I normally call him. And draw against Sam. Then he's saying, easy for you to say. Duzika? Yeah, something like that. I mean, I should be able to pronounce the name because I'm able to pronounce names like Ćwierkoszczak. But still, Polish names are hard to pronounce to me. Just how, for example. Also, proper Chinese names are hard to pronounce, but in China many people apparently use Western style names when communicating with non-Chinese people, so that makes it easier. But yeah, we have 99 for James, 96 for PIW, PIW being in a clean position, James are playing one high, PIW quite hard, close the belt here, does need to get something for the left side, doesn't get anything for the left side, topping out at 96k, which means PIW topping out at 96, and James is able to win this game. Looks like Jenny and I were going a bit too off topic here, so I'll try to focus more on the games here. Didn't expect these quicker games, so that tells me I need to properly focus here. Okay, James is now topping out at 151, so let me get one more screenshot of that as well. PIW also saying that was stupid of him to do. Honestly, that's what I feel like in so many games of mine, like in all games that I play, at least in com games, I'm like, why the heck did I do this? This was so stupid. So yeah, I do definitely feel that. Also, your next seed is in the chat now. The next seed is gonna be 01F621, and you have now a 2-2-0 for our Polish player PIW. Wait, 1-1, exactly, James. Made a small mistake there, was like, haha, it's 2-0 for PIW, but no, it in fact is 1-1. Also just was like, is that correct? But it wasn't, obviously, because James just won game number 2. So yeah, the seed for game number 3 is in the chat. As I said, a 1F621. The players are ready, so start game number 3 in 3, 2, 1. Tetris. PIW has started. James will also start now. Perfect, which means PIW is 6-7 pieces ahead here in the piece sequence of James. That is not enough for James to get an advantage. If it was like 15 pieces, then yeah, at that point maybe James can actually hear when something is coming up in advance, or like when the long bar is falling down off the drought, for example. That is like would be a bit of an advantage for James, but if it's below a 10-second delay, then it doesn't really matter. Or like 10-second difference, because by default we have a 5-second delay of my stream plus the 5-second delay of PIW and James' stream, so that's a delay of 10 seconds in total. James open once again. We have 30k here for James against 75k here for PIW. So we have about a 2 Tetris lead here at the beginning for our Polish player. Danny's saying I tried doing that, so being behind the player and paying attention to, for example, the routes ending. Small misreply of that, the red SPs on PIW side, which is now turning into cleanup that needs to be done, but the board is low enough so that this should be possible. Next misreply of that blue SPC on PIW side, PIW topping out at 104, so 104 top out for PIW, meaning James, you have already achieved your goal, and with that are able to win game number 3, and we now have a 2-2-1. So yeah, James, feel free to top out here. And James is topping out. So I will get you guys your new seed. The seed is in the chat. It is 21B006. The screenshot has also worked, so feel free to input the seed now. 133,397 we just had against 104,880 and 25 lines. Yeah, let's see if maybe game number 4 will be a full game to level 19. As both players are now ready, so let's start the next game in 3, 2, 1. Tetris. Bears also talked about the delay earlier. I remember that not too long ago I oftentimes had slight upload issues where I had to then use an extra stream delay of about 2 seconds in order to get stable streams in, and that was a bit annoying. Because all of this extra delay just does add up, so yeah, I'm happy that I now have stable internet and don't have to do extra stream delay here on OBS's side. And yeah, here we can now see 46 for James against 28 for PIW. So PIW being behind here in the opening. But yeah, if we are able to get a full game with this time, then this should be fine here. As in 130 lines, which is about 100 left to go, you can make up a lot of points played. Next Tetris to PIW, next Tetris here to James, 117 to James against 79 here for PIW. I guess the W in PIW does stand for winning. Or maybe just a bit of kidding here, you know, we need a bit of this semi-shit talk in my opinion. Yeah, PIW, Des is winning, exactly. I remember Mark Meyer, the German guy here, once saying that we need to have it a bit more like, I believe he said in wrestling, where you have this, you know, semi-rivalry, shit talk, toxic kind of funny stuff, where, you know, everybody is cool with each other, we have pretty much on a friendly basis, but with the public we do like this, haha, stuff for, you know, getting entertainment out of it. And I do actually agree there. For these bigger events, it would be great for, you know, new people to join in and have this kind of funny stuff. I believe PIW just missed the spin here. Or I don't know what he wanted to do because that wasn't spinnable. 169 for James, 177 for PIW. James being a bit high, getting the bar over, and Tetris to James. So we once again have a proper game going here as we are at about halfway of level 18, 195, 180. So point-wise, this has been a bit of a suffer game so far here. And Lucas also saying he-he-he-haw to my comment about, I believe it was Mark who said that we need to have this kinda funny shit talk happening a bit more in the Tetris scene. Player 221, 207. So, still a small lead here for James, but PIW was able to catch that up to James, getting the single, open once again into bar, Tetris to James 247 against 236 here. And we can see one more Tetris to James 270, one more Tetris for PIW 259. Next Tetris to James, PIW ready getting the bar, Tetris to PIW, bar and Tetris to James as well over here. And we're in the last 40 lines of level 18, next Tetris to PIW. And next Tetris to James here as well. So yeah, this has been a mostly clean second half compared to the beginning. So let's see how the last about third of level 18 will go, as we are only 40k apart, so less than 2 Tetrises here between these two players. This is a point difference that PIW can catch up until level 19, and of course potentially getting a few thousand points on level 19 that James doesn't get would also help. Or maybe James can get a few thousand points that PIW can't get on level 19. Let's see how the next 20 lines of 18 will go, and then 19. 414 for James against 377 for PIW. PIW having played 5 lines less, so if you take that into consideration, it was at that point only about a 1 Tetris difference in pace. Yeah, 418, 403, less than a Tetris difference here between these two players in the last now 10 lines. The next Tetris to James. PIW is a bit behind now in the amount of lines played in the P sequence, therefore we just had the next Tetris to PIW. Single here, 467 transition for James. James now on level 19. PIW getting the next Tetris, 451. PIW wants to get one final Tetris into transitioning and get a lead here against James. James 471, 475 for PIW. PIW transitioning at about 15k higher than James was. James now needs to get a few thousand points here on level 19 in order to win against PIW. PIW also level 19. Both of these players playing safe, playing low, going for single burns. So we can see James on the right side being quite high, which means he only needs to play a 9 white for the next few lines here, while PIW's board is getting a bit out of control. 482 for James, 4060 for PIW. PIW now getting low in the sequence again. Left side for James is working out. Next double here for James. PIW is coming out at 486. 486 for PIW, which means James got the next singles here and has been able to win game number 4 after an amazing showing here of level 19 here from both of these players, getting to level 21. 45 lines for PIW, nicely played here. James also just cruising along here on level 19. GG's here to both players. Opening was a bit rough due to the piece sequence, but you know, the second half, level 19, this is peak paldastetris that we can see on James' side and also on PIW's side in the first 50 lines of level 19. But yeah, James just playing the safe and long game. And also amazing to finally have a game that's decided on level 19. It feels like it has been the first game that I've casted over here on paldastetris ever that was decided on level 19. And yeah, also in the chat saying, wow, GG both, from Danny. PIW saying GG's, and Jeddah even also saying, wow, good one. Yeah, this was 2 really good games here from these players. I'm also, by the way, not doing the statistics here, just to watch James play. James is still going, he's now too high, gets next W on the left side, and yeah, this is such amazing level 9 play of James. Has been able to get 80k here on level 19 now. Holy, this was so well played by James. Huge GG's, well deserved 3-1. Okay, let's do the new seed. And we can also see PIW here tap a bit for our American player James. And I'm now gonna do the statistics. Yeah, 2 or 3 lines. This is wow. Just wow. Not much more that I can say. At least not due to the statistics here. 145. Oh. Yep, perfect. that yeah, James just showed what he can do here, and this is probably also a bit of mental here for PIW, knowing how much the opponent can achieve on level 19 speeds is always making it tougher because you want to play 18 more aggressive. So let's start the next game here. 3, 2, 1, Tetris. We are also now in a similar position to where we were between SHUICHI and Yelena earlier, where SHUICHI won. We have a 3-1, just the other way around, as now the left player has the 3 points. So yeah, this means James needs to win the next 2 games, while PIW would need to win 4 games, meaning this is a much easier match up now for James, as in the amount of pressure that's on the shoulders. And as always, I would love to see a full best of 9 happening here between these 2 players. So let's see if we can see that happen here. We have the next Tetris to James, now 95k for James, next Tetris to PIW, 98 for PIW, next Tetris to James. So this is neck and neck. Danny also saying we want lots of Tetris, exactly, and optimally we want lots of exciting Tetris. You know, close matches, long matches, deep into 19, that sort of stuff. PIW quite high here, needs a buff for the ref. Topping out at 98k, which means James has won this game as well, and it is now 4-0 for our American player. Yeah, this is a bit rough here on PIW's side now. The first few games, like the first game and the fourth game, both were quite nice, but now this game has been, or like the 3 games here have been a bit of a suffer now. Like game 2, 3, and 5. Also, let's get you new seed, and the 4-1 to next up match point for James. 1, 6, 9, 8, 7, 8. And this might potentially be the last game that we will have over here today, as we are in match point for JDH, and also a $5 contribution just happening. I don't know if the pop-up's working, I don't know why exactly, I thought we had some. But we just had a $5 contribution from Danny, so thanks to Danny saying, yeah, Tetris! And with that we have a 3, 2, 1, Tetris. I should have done an exclamation mark 5 on us of that $5. But yeah, as you know, we have a match Reno over here. And just to make sure, exactly, there's no more match coming up today. Danny also saying you need to get a sound of a bunch of different people saying, yeah, Tetris, or yeah, Tetris, or yeah, Tetris. I have no idea why people actually say it, but there's a lot of different ways to say it. And as Danny also saying, it's interesting how differently everyone says it, especially if you take into consideration that many people have a bit of an accent. Like, for example, I do have my German accent, PIW does have a Polish accent, and Americans, as in North, South, all of America, not just the United States of America, we have a ton of different accents. yeah, and we also have a ton of troubles here on, well, not a ton of troubles, but a lot of troubles here on James' side, as James is cleaning this up, and PIW is finally once again having an early lead here, as we have 65 for James against 153 here for PIW. Next set is to PIW, next set is to James. James now cleaning up the flat TPs, 2 burns in total open once again, while PIW also burns a single here into the standard height. And we can see Tetris readiness for both players. Tetris to James, PIW just closed the well, getting a double into Tetris here for PIW. 201 for PIW, 114 for James. So nice game so far here for PIW. James has had a bit of a suffer start here due to the amount of burning that he had to do. Next Tetris to PIW, next Tetris to James. And we can see nearly a 70k, so about a 3 Tetris lead here to PIW. Let's see how the second half and some change of level 18 will be. Actually, I would have assumed that PIW puts the bar here to the right instead put it to the left. Also worked out, but now needs to take a few burns. Burning, Tetrising, and also Tetris to James 27, 274. And next Tetris to James, PIW closed the well here. Not perfectly placed, the red SPs, but that can be, for example, be helped with the L-Tag here. Next triple here to PIW, now open once again, while James here on the left side, as you can see, is now open as well, getting the bar. Tetris for James, Tetris for PIW, both at a similar height, on average at least, as James needs to burn a bit here on the right side to get ready. So if we're ready for James, if we're ready for PIW, PIW taking a triple here, which means he's no longer ready for the Tetris, is now ready once again, but so is James. So if we have a Tetris for James, we have a Tetris for PIW. As we are a bit over 89s, we had 322 against 335. So PIW is about 70k lead in the beginning, is now down to a pretty much neck and neck, as we have about half a Tetris lead here for PIW. James now burning a few lines, so PIW is able to get the next Tetris in, so now we have a Tetris and some change lead to our Polish player, while James is side taking a few burns here, and as Danny is saying, neck and neck, having, oh, the good old emojis, CTWC neck 1, CTWC neck 2, I have missed them quite a bit. Oh, that was such an amazing time, back in the, let's say, good old days. At this point, it's been like a decade. It was like 2017, when 8 years. PIW also having a bit of buffering here now, so we can't see what is happening on his side. And we have a network error. Then he's saying, commentators don't say neck and neck as much as they used to. Yeah, exactly. I still do say neck and neck when it's close. So I just did that here. Okay. No, this is refresh didn't help on PIW side. I will open PIW on my browser here, so I won't be able to see the chat properly, but I hopefully will be able to see what is happening a bit better on PIW side here. But yeah, we have 469 for James against who knows on PIW side, so James now needs to play as aggressive as he can. Next Tetris to James, let's see in the chat here. Okay, there's nothing from PIW. And James just transitioning once again into level 19, so I'd expect that James will once again show us deep into level 19 what he can do. Yeah, it looks like internet now fully died. Oh no, PIW! We can see PIW drop out at 558, which means James Segolas 559, 559. We didn't see the full game here on PIW side, but we can see that this has to be the same game. So, okay, this has worked at least a bit here on PIW side. So James needs about 25k left to go. Your goal is 559. You are at level 20. Right side is looking a bit tough now on James' side. I believe that's it. Yeah, early shift of that piece does it on James' side. And we have James stopping out at 534. So PIW was finally able to win one more game. And PIW saying, sorry, internet issues. I'm a German guy, I know internet issues too well. We try to do a small-ish, well, not actually small, but like a bigger local tournament here in quite an amazing venue. The only issue was that we didn't have stable internet, or I guess you could say any internet at all. PIW is saying I need to reset OBS, totally fine. We have a minute or two of wait time. And yeah, that local event, it was like the state championship, or like meant to be the state championship. We were promised to have LAN and quite nice upload, and then when we were on location, it pretty much turned into no. You won't have anything like that, and that made the capture stuff much harder because we weren't able to. Yeah, PIW, of course, we can give you a few minutes. As I said, the 5 minutes or so to reset OBS, totally fine. And yes, so we were trying to stream, we were trying to use Nestor's gems, and we couldn't use the local internet because of that issue. So we had to use like hotspots and stuff like that. It was just absolutely horrible. We had like Nestor's gems at 1 FPS and less. Sometimes we had like half a minute of no picture. So yeah, I sadly do know the internet struggles over here in Germany as well. And as Danny also said, the game, or like the stream now looks good on PIW's side once again. So yeah, on my side we are ready for game number 7. We also have the new seed in chat. It is pinned at 8B, 3B, 7A. Danny was saying the stream looks good, not the warm-up games. I guess you should always point out what looks good, because otherwise I could be like, oh yeah, thanks Danny for saying that I look amazing today. But you haven't seen me play. Okay, so James is now inputting the seed, while PIW is a bit on his phone. I believe slowly typing something. Putting the phone away, so it wasn't meant for us. And PIW now also doing this. The seed here, and Danny saying I can't even play PAL 15. You know, the funny thing is I only play PAL 18. My PAL 18 is better than my NTSC 18. My PAL 19 is better than my NTSC 19. And my PAL 15 is non-existing. And my PAL... I'm like the worst player in the world, it feels like. But whenever I'm at, let's say, normie-ish events, I realize how good I am. Okay, so let's start the next game here in 3, 2, 1, Tetris. So yeah, kind of close to here. We had a local Tetris event that wasn't, you know, classic Tetris. It was more of a, hey, we have 10 different Tetris versions, and the tournament was like, we pick whatever Tetris version we wanna play, and that is gonna be played in that matchup. And yes, Tetris was only played once in the most stupid way possible. It was in the finals against another German NES Tetris guy. And the way that we played was via the beamer, using a Nestor's gems capture. So we had like a 5-second delay, it felt like in total. It was probably more like a 1 or 2 second delay. But yeah, that was probably the stupidest game or like tournament I've ever played. I won it in like many different Tetris formats, or like Tetris games. It was a ton of fun, but it was also just the definition of a stupid tournament. Over here we can see 75 for James, 35 for PIW, which means we have a small lead here in the beginning for our American player at 77 versus 39. I guess if I call James the American player, I should call PIW either the European player or actually the Eurasian player, because America is 2 continents. And yeah, I personally absolutely hate calling people of the United States Americans, as in pretending that they are America, because they are not, just how, I don't know, Germany isn't Europe or Poland isn't Europe. It's the same to me. Yeah, so we have James having an Tetris 194 against PIW at 77. nice lead here for James. Then he's saying, I've never heard anyone call the part outside of the USA America. Well, I call the continent America if I talk about... Okay, PIW being in troubles. I will talk about what I just started, but I can't. PIW getting the pieces to the left, not missing the next 8 pieces on top. Topping out at 86k, which means we have our match winner being James, now being 5-2. So thanks for PIW for playing and showing us a few good games here. Like, for example, the game before this one was quite well. Then we also had game number, I believe it was 5, where we had also like 259, something like that. And I need to do this here now. 86 to 60, 50. Oh, I'm gonna assume that James is still playing, and my assumption was luckily correct. And yeah, what I just started to say is, if I talk about America, I mean both North and South America. Otherwise, I normally specify USA. Maybe just a me thing, maybe a bit of a European thing. I have no idea. But yeah, I actually try to call America, like United States Americans, I generally call them something like US Americans, Usasians, something like that. I don't have like one phrase that I use, but I try to properly specify that I mean people from the United States of America. Yeah. So James also topping out here probably at around close to 300k, 292 top out here for James, but that is acceptable because James has been able to win this game, and we have our match winner being JDH James. So GG's to James for winning his matchup in round number 4. So GG's there, and let's take a quick look at our match statistics. And oh, JDH also said, GG, thanks for playing at PIW, and thanks for hosting at paldastetris. You're welcome for the hosting. Then he's saying it's Americans instead of Americans. That also works. Okay, so here in match statistics we can see James won 5-2. The average losing score for James was also much higher than for PIW, because PIW had a few potato games. And you can see in total James just performed much more consistent here than PIW, which has allowed what? Oh, I know what happened. Yeah, I see what happened. I made a mistake here, bruh. This should be correct. Yeah. I made a small mistake there in reporting. I have the screenshots. Yeah, okay, I see what happened. Yeah, this is now correct. I apologize for that small statistics here. This is now correct. Sorry. So we have the 203 for James, 145 here for PIW. Small mistake I made. I apologize for that. And yeah, so this is the statistics for the match. Let's see if the bracket was kindly updated by PIW. And it has been. So let's take a look at the bracket over here. We can now see James in rank number 6. And PIW is remaining at rank number 14. So from my side, it is thanks for watching, thanks for playing. I hope you had an amazing time over here at paldastetris Swiss 2025. So, you know, Annie was over here earlier doing a bit of chatting. So let's say, let's rate Annie here. Not quite Tetris, but I hope that you will enjoy it anyways. So, have a great and search your current time. Goodbye.